Hello, everybody, and welcome to the RTU Presents TV reviews. As you can tell, it's a little bit different today. One thing, it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday when you're listening to this. Actually, it might be any day of the week that you're listening to this. But also, it's me, lovely Kat Peters, leading the show. Weird, I know, right? But that's okay. I'm going to take you guys magical places. So it's TV reviews, and I am doing Supergirl. Yay, Supergirl. So somehow I got stuck with Supergirl. I won't name any names, but somehow I got stuck with it. As the host, Raul Romo, looks at me in shock and disdain.
Bullshit!
Hey, this is my show. Shut your face. Alright, so Supergirl, I know we're a few episodes behind, so I'm going to try to go back, give you a little bit of a synopsis of what happened, and then we're going to talk about the new one, episode 3, Fight or Flight. There we go. So, what's happened so far? If you don't know anything about Supergirl, first things first, she is also from Krypton, like Superman. She was actually sent to Earth to protect her cousin, Kal-El. He was a baby, she was 13 years old, and she was sent to protect him. But her ship sort of got put off course, and she got stuck in the negative zone. And so she was stuck in the negative zone for 24 years. And she actually, it's not the negative zone, it's the phantom zone. So she was stuck in the phantom zone for 24 years. And then somehow she got dislodged from the phantom zone and went to Earth. When she landed on Earth, her cousin found her, which is good because some creepy molester could have found her and we'd have a whole different story right now. But her cousin found her and he was already known as Superman. So she didn't really have a need to protect him anymore. And she was still 13 years old when she landed on Earth. So he dropped her off with some random family to let them raise her. And then we go to 12 years later. She is an assistant for Cat Grant. And Cat Grant owns a whole bunch of corporations and crap. And Kara, which is her name, she's not using her powers. She's just sort of being a lowly assistant and being useless, basically. And Jimmy Olsen is there. Black Jimmy Olsen. I don't know why I have to say that he's black, but he's black. Sexy Time Jimmy Olsen is what we'll call him. He prefers to be called James. Sexy Time James Olsen. And her adopted sister plane is crashing. And she goes to save the plane. She uses her powers. Everyone sees her and they say, wow, we have a hero in National City now. And everyone's excited for the hero. And her sister is mad at her. She doesn't understand why her sister is mad at her. She's like, this is what I've been hoping for all this time. A use for myself instead of just being an assistant. But her sister's mad at her. And she tells her friend, Wayne, whatever, he doesn't really matter. She tells her friend that she's Supergirl. And her friend's like, all right, that's cool. I'm going to help you out. He constructs different suits from her. He even mentions later on that he has some sick sewing skills, which is a little bit weird, but whatever. I mean, she continues doing her hero work. She continues saving people. And her sister works for this organization called DEO, and they're basically in charge of protecting the Earth from aliens. Anytime an alien comes, they try to stop them, and they're basically tell her that she's a threat, and that they don't want her going around heroin, and that she's not ready for this. And they also tell her that when she came to Earth from the Phantom Zone, she brought an alien prison out, Fort Roz. She brought the alien prison out with her, and it also landed on Earth. And now it's basically her fault that the aliens are there. which is sort of bullshit, because how was she supposed to stop the aliens from following her out of the Phantom Zone? But anyways, it turns out that the aliens were imprisoned there by her mother, and so now Supergirl is a target. And also Superman told Sexy Time James Olsen that she was his cousin and that to sort of keep an eye out for her. And it also turns out that in Fort Ross, her aunt, General Astra, is also there, and she's leading the prisoners. And so we lead into the second episode, and after Kara saved the day, she's being pushed by the DEO to see if she is, in fact, in control of her powers. And she sort of proves that she is in control and she's happy about it. And then she finds out that there's going to be a fire by this oil tanker. So she goes and tries to put out the fire with her wind breath, and it doesn't work at all. She completely fails. So instead of putting out the fire, she's just going to pull the oil tanker away. And at first it's working, she's pulling it away, and then she cracks the ship in half, and oil gets all over the whole ocean. And so people are basically calling her a jackass for that. And nobody wants her to save the day anymore. And so her boss, Cat Grant, is trying to get an interview with Supergirl because she feels like she has a claim to Supergirl or something, and she wants an interview with her. And she tells James Olsen to use his connects to get her an interview with Supergirl. And then Kara's like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. She's going to recognize me. And so Cat Grant is criticizing Supergirl, and Kara asks her, well, what would you do if you were in her shoes? And Cat Grant says that she would start small and work her way up to bigger jobs. And so that's what Supergirl's doing. She's starting small. She tells, she lets Winn and James know that each other knows that she's Supergirl, and they sort of form a super team, and they're helping her solve all these small cases and save all these lives. She saves a snake from a tree. The snake's name is Fluffy. She thought it was a cat, but it turned out to be a snake. And so she's working her way up so she doesn't mess up again. Meanwhile, her aunt, General Astra, wants to capture Supergirl. And Supergirl agrees to do the interview with Cat Grant, and her sister gets captured by General Astra, and Supergirl basically walks into a trap to save her. And her aunt are fighting, and I have to admit that this was a really good fight. Her aunt is obviously way more in control of her powers than Supergirl is, and she's sort of getting her ass kicked. And then the commander of the DEO, his name is, I forgot his name. The commander of the DEO, he comes, and while Supergirl is knocked down, General Astra sort of picks him up and starts choking him. And she's like, you have nothing that can defeat me. And he stabs her with the kryptonite little pocket knife. And she's really in pain, and she flies away. And so Kara gets her own room in the DEO organization where she can communicate with her mother, sort of like how Superman has his little thing of isolation, you know, the whole ice crystal thing. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Fortress of Solitude.
Fortress of Solitude. Thing of isolation is what I said. How he has his own Fortress of Solitude. She now has one where she can communicate with her cousin. And so at the end of episode 2, we see the commander of the DEO. His eyes sort of flash red. And it's like, ooh, who is this guy? For the first two...
His name is Hank Henshaw.
Commander Henshaw. For the first 2 episodes, it was especially the first episode, it was really slow. The acting was okay. It it wasn't that good at all. The second episode, it picked up a lot, especially with the fight with her aunt and her trying to better herself because she realized that she is sort of a shitty superhero. So for the first 2 episodes combined, I'd give them a 7 out of 10. And so now we go into episode 3, which is Fight or Flight. And Kara is sort of crushing on Sexy Time James Olsen. And her boss, Cat Grant, finally gets to do the interview with Supergirl. And Kara lets it slip that she is Superman's cousin. And Cat Grant just sort of runs with it. And then Supergirl goes to stop, I believe it was a fire. And Reactron comes and he starts fighting her. And then he leaves. And everyone tells her that she should not fight Reactron. Like, literally 4 different people tell her, don't fight Reactron. Superman never beat him, so how are you supposed to beat him? And she decides to fight him anyways. And Reactron is kicking her ass, something fierce. And Superman shows up to save her. Now, we don't see Superman's face. We just see the cape and the suit just landing in front of her. And then, of course, by the time she wakes up, Superman had to go back to Metropolis. And so she finds out that James called Superman, and she's mad at him. She's like, you had no right to do that. How am I supposed to better myself if I have to call my cousin all the time to come and help me? And she ends up defeating Reactron. She had to melt down the sculpture and take the lead and pull the reactor out of his chest to defeat him. And then, like, later, her sister is like, oh, what are you going to do to celebrate? And she's like, how about just a movie? And her sister was like, how about you go tell James that you won in those pants? And so the next day, she goes to tell Sexy Time James Olsen that, you know, she likes her. How about they go on a date? And Lucy Lane is there. I am not familiar with Lucy Lane at all, but apparently it is Lois Lane's little sister. And apparently that they had something going on and she wants Sexy Time James Olsen back. And Kara's sort of hurt by that because she's really feeling him, even though her friend Wynn likes her also. But who pays attention to him when Sexy Time James Olsen is there? And at the end of the episode, she's chatting with Clark Kent. And he tells her what a good job she's doing and to keep up the good work. And that's the end of Supergirl episode 3. For this episode, it's still not living up to its potential, I believe. I give it a 7.5 out of 10. I think it could be better, but it's not. And so that is all I have for Supergirl currently. Next Monday, I will be watching and reviewing for you guys. And so comment, make sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/roundtableuniverse. As you guys can tell, I'm nervous doing this by myself, but your host Raul Romo made me do this. So yeah. Once again, our Facebook
laughing stock of me.
Our Facebook page is facebook.com/roundtableuniverse. Our Twitter page, you can find us at RoundtableU. We are on Stitcher. We're on Podbean. You can find us on iTunes. Raul Romo will be putting this up on YouTube, so you can laugh at me there. If you have any questions, if you think that I'm giving Supergirl a hard time, let me know. If you think that this was hilarious watching me panic, let me know. So thank you guys for listening. Once again, this is Kat Peters. Good night.